It's July. Where are we going in July? Half the year's gone. It's crazy, right? We're starting the second half of 2021. So we're in chapter 1, verse 12. So this is a really interesting one, right? It's about, and Abhyasa and Vairagyam are two concepts that are very prevalent in yoga practice, especially for the schools of yoga that follow the Yoga Sutra. So it's like this whole concept of, and I wrote about this the other day, it is about, there's a phrase that we have used, Mr. Kim and I have used for many years when it came to our Arbonne business, and that is, be passionate about the process and let go of the outcome. And that is what this is about. So that is why I put the intention down for this month as Be Here Now. It's finding that balance between Abhyasa, which is practice, okay, and it's the practice towards stilling the mind, if you like, because the practice of the purpose and whole intention of yoga. But then also have a certain amount of detachment. That's what Vairagya is that letting go. Because if we get too hung up with the outcome or where we are going, we are no longer present. We focus too much on that. So our mind's too much in the future, and then it will affect our actual presence when we are practicing. So the whole idea of yoga practice is to practice, regular practice, with a foot towards somewhere that we are going. And really the whole purpose of practice, of yoga practice, is to find that stillness, that enlightenment, that connection with ourselves, as opposed to having the purpose and goal as to the perfect headstand or something like that. Or it could be that, if you have people who are very physically inclined. But a lot of times, and so often as a society, I think we are so goal-driven that we are focused more on that. And so it's about practicing Vairagyam. It's about being able to practice detachment and letting go at the same time. So here are a couple of things, like some quotes. This is a Jessica Cha quote where he says, detachment can imply an attachment elsewhere. So just think about that for a minute. So if you focus on the word Vairagyam, which is about detachment, you could think, okay, if I'm completely detached here, it could be that I'm completely attached somewhere else. So if I give you an example from a teaching perspective, I could be almost teaching on autopilot, so I'm detached from my class and connecting with my class because I'm attached to whatever is happening at home. Do you see what I mean? So you're thinking about something else and you're just there going through the motions, leading a class. So you're detached from the class, the participants in the class, and the connection you have with them because you're attached elsewhere. Okay, so it's also having awareness of that, yeah? Rather than just, I'm going to just trust the process and let go. I'm going to just focus on the process and the practice, okay? So, so yoga is about cultivating a profound discernment, okay, of the difference between that, between our ego and our intuition. Is that as well. So we can detach, the detachment is not ego-driven, okay? I kind of hope that makes sense. We can discuss this in the yoga circle. So the way I've translated that into your practice is you will find that in the practice, key poses I've highlighted in red, and they're the ones that you can stay in. So the main reason for that is the poses that you stay in are the ones that we're working towards. Okay, so it's kind of like a mini peak pose that we can focus on. What happens then is people focus on those and trying to get better at those, and then forget about being completely present with the whole practice. So the idea is to challenge them to stay in the pose, which is great on a very functional level because they've got time to sit in a pose, get comfortable in a pose. It might help improve their mobility, their flexibility. And then we flow again, just to keep things moving, and then we stay again, we move again, we stay again, we move again, we stay again. In relation to the Yoga Sutra, it's about that. It's about staying in the pose and then just letting it go and flow. And then, oh, look, here's another pose that I can stay in. Oh, look, I'm flowing again. Oh, look, there's another pose that I can stay in. Okay, so it's kind of like that whole practice, abhyasa, of practice, of flow, and then detachment, vairagya, of just letting go. You know, it might be that some of the poses that you expect them to stay in are not comfortable for them, and so they have to find their own way within it. But it's not about getting anywhere necessarily. So this is where your participants that are very shape-driven, fitness-driven, will be hung up on the staying in the poses because they're like, oh, I need to, my hips are very tight here and I want to stay longer in this and I'm trying to get into it. Just really encourage them over the month to let go of that, perhaps focus on the breath rather than the shape they are in, and then moving them out of it straight away to flow into the next thing so they don't get too hung up with the outcome of staying in the pose. Okay? So have fun with that. Look up the sutra, explore it. It's quite an abstract sutra, so you may want to read the few sutras in a block as opposed to just that one. Okay? Have fun and let me know how you get on.